Good day to you, Chris.
Good day. By the way, you had the volume on like 10 when I turned this on just a second ago, and it's got this like Euro beats, like techno music from this.
Oh, really?
I had to like turn the volume down real fast.
Well, that's because the sound bar is so loud.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing that like...
Are you ready? Check this out.
Yeah.
Check this out. No one knows what I'm doing, but Chris will react. Oh, yeah, baby. We're big time.
I thought it was electronic.
On the ends, it is.
Okay.
We got manual in here.
I'm going to have to switch seats. I'm not
Yours does, too.
Oh, it does? I don't want to touch feet with
bro. Yeah, bro. We're big time. We're big time.
So
anyway, it is a Tuesday here at the gym, and Chris is getting ready for Muay Thai class. Are you going to do both hours?
No.
Come on, bro. Double it up.
I wish I could, but that's not going to happen. I'm like psyching myself up right now by watching some K1 World Max tournament highlights from
awesome.
2006.
So this is episode 64.
64.
That's a very auspicious number for mathematicians, computer scientists.
Is it really?
Well, because the power of 2, you know.
It was like 8 to the 4th or 2 to the 4th or
2 to the 4th would be 16. 2 to the 5th would be 32.
2 to the 6th then?
It is 64.
It's been a long time since I've had a math.
Anyway, thanks for joining us.
Or would it be like 2 factorial or like 6 factorial?
Well, factorial is
like
6 factorial.
6 plus 5. No, 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2.
Anyway.
Welcome
to the show.
Yeah.
And shout out to our sponsors, as always, Crown Rash Guards.
I rocked mine this morning.
Way to go.
Yeah, man.
I'm awaiting. I think I'm experiencing the same thing Jamal did, where the shipment has been...
They're too busy. They're sorting through the
you're
fake
right.
ballots.
Actually, you're right. It's postal
It's the carrier.
service,
Oh, yeah.
So the carrier is a little slow.
Yeah, man.
But guys, check them out. I've been wearing mine religiously. I brought mine. You know, I've got no gi tonight. I'll be wearing mine. Check them out. www.crownrashguards.com. They have ranked rash guards, sleek, minimalistic design. My biggest thing is they're durable. They hold up really well. They don't stick to the Velcro on your grappling shorts.
I noticed that. Like,
it's awesome.
Yeah, like
that's like a big thing. Now, they're slightly thicker than some other ones, and as a result, like I always say, they run a little warmer. But if you're doing no-gi jiu-jitsu, you don't notice it because
you're gonna be slimy.
Yeah,
anyway,
you get a sweat going all the way. So, I'm a fan. Talked to Tristan. He's like, it's the best rash guard I've ever bought. You know.
Yeah.
So
I've seen his rash guards too.
Yeah.
He's a big spender, and he really likes the well valued brand.
Exactly. So guys, use our promo code BREWS, BREWS, and you're not drinking a brew right now. You're drinking a rock star, brother.
Only 180 milligrams.
Only 100. Only
of caffeine.
Only. Anyways, check them out. Again, use our promo code BREWS for 20% off your next order. They are Crown Rash Guards. You can also see them on Instagram, social media, Instagram, Facebook, at Crown Rash Guards. Anmar's the guy running that place. It's an awesome story. I say it time and time again. It's it's from a jiu-jitsu person for the jiu-jitsu community. So help a brother out. Check them out, crownrashguards.com. Now, Chris.
Noah.
I have gotten a lot of feedback recently from people that I didn't know were listening to the podcast or listening to the podcast.
Oh, boy. Who do we need to shout out?
So, for example, now I don't know under what circumstances or what they're listening to it. I think sometimes they might just be bored or maybe they're in a doctor's office.
That's why anybody really listens to
who
our
cares?
podcast.
Or someone had to drive a long way somewhere. I remember that was Stacy's. Stacy's like, I have a long road trip, so I'll listen to some of your podcasts.
Or somebody happened to listen to Jocko on Spotify. And we popped up as a suggestion, perhaps.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Equally
so the algorithms
as motivating.
Absolutely. So the latest person that is a listener that I was not aware of, Hector Hernandez.
Interesting. I saw him.
Ezekiel Coleon.
He is definitely the Ezekiel
or
master.
The OC dad. What, OC Jiu-Jitsu dads?
OC BJJ dads, I think
OC,
it is.
Orange County.
I'm surprised that he listened to us because like we're not interesting.
Well, no, he said it was super. So what I got from him was it was super interesting to hear, I guess, like another side of our personalities because we're certainly on the mats. And he was like, I guess with all the cursing and how bombastic
really?
we can get a little bit. I guess me in particular. And
Yeah,
he's like, he's like,
there's-
you seem like an even keel guy on the mats, like always chill, and
There's
then you're
work Chris and
cursing.
there's, there's-
So
right.
I thought that was.
You mean the off the books Noah?
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
not
get
it's
it.
not off the record because I'm recording it all.
Yeah, that's true. But
It's not
there's-
off the
yeah.
record. So I thought that was cool, and it got me thinking about what kind of goes on in our heads. The stuff that we all think we know what people are thinking, but we never say it, right? It's like,
Oh, that's interesting.
and I don't mean
Did
I don't mean
Hector
that in
say
an etiquette
anything?
way. No. Well, Hector was just like, Hector was just, again.
Shout out to
you
Hector,
saw-
new brown belt.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
We got a new brown belt, and he's repping it good. So
He was repping it well before that.
So the idea being, we grapple, and we probably don't communicate as much, and not that we're being asked to communicate as grapplers, but for example, the old, how hard is this person actually going with me?
Yeah.
We all wish we could have an effort level like appear above
Like a
everyone's
sim?
have
they have like a little diamond above their
yeah,
head.
in terms of like, oh, this guy's going 85% with me right now, or he's
Yeah.
going 100%. Now, granted, there's kind of an assumption that we sort of should know that as grapplers and sense that and match that intensity.
I feel like you
but
can
from
kind
an
of
ego
tell.
point of view,
Yeah.
I'll put it out there. From an ego point of view, kind of like, well, how hard is that guy really going with me? Did I get that because I was going, because I did it, or did he give it to me?
Yeah.
And I think that's why people like competition so much, because in competition,
They're not.
There's
giving
no
it to you.
excuse.
Yeah. There's.
if you get it and the person gave it to you, that's because they're a dumbass and are intentionally losing,
Right.
and no one's going to do. That's not a
Yeah. Shame on them.
shame on them. Exactly, right? So I thought about what happened today. So I had a no-gi class today with Paul, and I just wanted to kind of share things that I wouldn't talk about normally, but like what's going
Ooh.
through my head, and stuff. And this is not like,
Oh,
I'm
I was
gonna-
like, is this sacred? Are you
no,
allowed to talk
no,
about?
no,
Okay.
no. It's not like that. It's just in terms of what's going on in my head when stuff happens. So, for example, first thing comes to mind is I rolled with Vinny a couple times.
Vinny Bag of Donuts.
Vinny Bag of Donuts. And both times I was able to get him to turtle, secure back mount, and he immediately performed a 2-on-1 escape where he would grab my overhook, the kill arm with both hands, bring it over his head,
Yeah.
and work the escape. And I've studied Gordon Ryan's maintaining the back, attacking the back, and I thought I knew the counter to it, but in the last few months, no one's done that escape with me. Everyone tries to get their head on go to the underhook side, and so my reaction was not there. And when I thought about it afterwards, I couldn't remember. He did to me twice.
So he
I'm
spoke. He broke spinal alignment.
He did, and I literally was sitting. You can ask Paul or Mark, or I was sitting there on the side of the mat after class, just staring off into the void. And if you're wondering what I was thinking about, I was racking my brain, trying to put together in my head what the correct reaction for me is to counter that escape. Now, cool. Of course, then I went home, pulled it up in Gordon's thing. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I had it in my. So now I have three. I have three counters to that.
Haha.
So if you come to no-gi tonight, we might be covering that just to further emphasize that.
That's
so
selfish of you, by the way.
Well, we are working on attacking the back.
Okay, then
So
that's
it would
fair.
be a natural thing. We'll see. We'll see who comes. I had plans to do how to deal with half guard and the knee shield and just basic movements to help guard passing. Just
Speaking of knee shield, I saw the first person I've ever seen actively use it, the Craig Jones style knee shield, Matt Cabrera, today.
yeah, he does do that. He does lock it. I do it sometimes.
Like where you point your knee downwards.
Yeah, I'm not.
Instead of like Z. He's got like a weird. Like I was like, oh, you're doing the exact opposite Z guard of my Z guard. Like very unique, and he does it well. Like it's
He does lock your he does lock your legs in pretty well.
Yeah, like.
And
but anyways.
he just spazzes back and forth too a bit. So it's
Ooh.
hard to. I mean that in a good. I mean he has movement, so it's hard to.
He's good at it.
Yeah.
I was watching him like on my round off. I was like, I need to study this. So.
Yeah. So Yeah, shout out to Matt. I know he doesn't listen. Matt, if you're listening.
No, he does.
He does?
I think he does.
You think he does as well? We'll
I'm like
find out.
I'm like 75% confident that he does.
Matt, fuck you.
Mateo. He's like,
let's see if he listens.
Yeah.
I'll say it one more time. Matt, fuck you. All right, let's see if he's listening.
But I'm his. I guess I'm his inadvertent accountability partner now.
Oh, so there you go.
So I'm gonna come make sure to call him out tomorrow morning.
I'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
okay.
he texted me yesterday night. He's like, "Hey man, just want to let you know I'll be there. I need an accountability partner." I was like, "Yeah." You know, like I'm like humble about it. I'm like, I appreciate that he even respects me enough to run a class that he would want to take. You know,
I think you saying that he wants an accountability partner is information that he. Is something he wouldn't want let out more than me
yeah,
cursing him out, because Paul and all these guys will make fun of him like accountability.
Oh yeah, like he's like that's like such a buzzword. Like,
hey man, 2021,
new year, new him.
year, new me.
Yeah, man. So I hope to see him again.
I mean, it is good. Yeah. I mean, you got a good crew in the morning.
Yeah.
So that thing of having two escapes happen to me in the same class,
the exact same escape.
Exact same escape, got me thinking, like, this is what's going on in my head as I'm trying to figure out, trying to remember what could I have done if I could recall it. And then of course I looked it up to study and be like, oh. So that's one example. Another example is going with Paul. So I went with Paul and he got me in. We get into the sequence a lot where I play bottom. I play some sort of half guard, whether it's half guard or reverse de la Riva.
Or reverse de la Riva.
Yeah, I consider that. Like, if you're doing half guard, you need to know reverse de la Riva, to me. Like, you have to know that. And he got a headlock. He's been doing a lot of front headlocks. Mm-hmm. So I'm in this situation where I'm under him. I have his leg, and I'm trying to peel his ankle back with a coyote hook. But he's got a chin strap and attacking my neck and just threatening that. So I have to be honest. So I'm fighting the hands. Then he tries to connect the hands. I fight it. He breaks. And there's this constant battle of him trying to connect his hands and me just madly from just, I guess, many times getting choked by him, flailing up and down.
Does he darce
just preventing him from connecting his hands. And every time he separated, I was like, can I go to deep half? And I learned that I can't because he still has my chin. So then I talked to him afterwards.
If you're on your right side and right hip, he's got a chin strap with his left hand, correct?
Yes, with his outside arm.
His outside arm?
Yeah, if I'm on my right hip, it would be his left arm.
Yeah,
right?
His left arm.
The one that's farther away from my body.
Yeah, okay, his outside,
Yeah, not the one that would be seeking an underhook. That would be his right arm.
That would be his right arm. Okay.
So that's something on my mind, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is a lot of what's on my mind are, huh?
Who'd you look for? Lucas Lecce on that one?
No, I talked to Paul.
Oh, you just, okay.
I just talked to Paul. I was like, I felt like I thought going to deep half was an option when you didn't have your hands connected, but I couldn't. And he said, well, I've got the chin strap. So the lesson.
Forcing your chin into his side.
So the lesson was which I think the best answer is you have to fight the chin strap and peel it off.
Yeah.
Or if you want to deal with a chin strap, you have to risk the guillotine and come up and try to hop to the other side, which he said he's been experimenting. That's a little higher risk, higher reward.
Yeah.
But definitely fighting the hand connection's one thing, but you have to get the chin strap off. And that's the lesson I learned from that. So again, I'm just trying to illustrate for the listeners that care, and there may be zero of them out there, but what's going through at least my head when I'm rolling it on the mat, right?
I'm not sure students are as mindful as to what the situation is. That is...
Well, I don't know how other people are thinking about that. I'm just telling you my thought process.
Yeah.
Just as an example of, if you ever wonder why I'm staring off into the void or I'm just kind of quiet, these are the things that are kind of going through my head,
And then as you're also thinking of, like, at what point do I... You ever seen that meme of, like...
Sometimes jujitsu doesn't love me back, or that,
or something, and like, or like
Kermit the Frog's looking out the window or something,
drinking the tea. No, but I was thinking about the one where it's like two sort of like stick figures, and like they're like, yeah, man, and like one's rolling, and the other one's like driving his fist into like the other one's face, and then like later on that night, he's like, he finds him on Facebook, he's like, unfriend. Like that's what I'm thinking of whenever I'm staring off into space. Is like, will he notice if I unfriend him? Sorry, but how often are you? Does that something that has to happen to you like multiple times in one round or one day?
If it does, it's a good day because that means I'm learning.
Yeah,
you know, I'm trying to. I mean, it's a little challenging for me because, well, challenging is not the word. What I'm confronted with as a student on my course of improvement is I want to understand top better. I want to understand not so much, I mean, obviously control from the top, but also what postures I need to assume, what grips I need to look for that are going to facilitate passing and be able to go to that. And like I said, I think in the last few episodes, I've been kind of just constantly burrowing for over-under pass, and that it simplified me from the top and actually made me a better passer because I'm decisively doing something.
Yeah.
And instead of kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
As a guard player, I think I can get away with, at least at the level I'm at hanging out a little bit because I'm good enough where if people make a mistake in my guard, I will capitalize as a reaction, but I might not be throwing up attacks constantly like a very high-level guard player would, in my opinion. You know? Granted, if you look at a match, you don't see the guy on bottom constantly throwing attacks. There's a kind of like feeling, there's a lot of, you know, let's get our grips, let's you know, prevent the underhook from happening or trying to get an underhook. There's jockeying for position.
Pummeling, one might say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like the true
leg pummeling. I mean, gotta get that inside position.
Yeah.
Inside position.
Inside, yeah.
So
occupying that space.
You know, as a result, I'm still not able to create as many opportunities for me to practice top and passing as I'd like because most people will take top with me, and we're not doing the wrestling thing where we're going to start on our feet and see who can take the person down to get the top position. But even that is a slightly different scenario than just passing someone's open guard from top.
Yeah.
Because if I secure a takedown, hopefully I've gotten into side control, or at least
like gentleman's agreement we have like amongst each other when we grapple, right? Like because how often does this happen when
grilled chicken guard? Let's attack grilled chicken guard.
Like how often does it happen where we're literally there we go again.
There you go. Take a shot, everybody.
Where we just concede because most time I'll sit back to guard.
Sure,
right? Like that's just what I do, and most time people will just start trying to pass.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to do that, right? Like, and that's something that I've kept in my head. A lot of times against like Nick Benicasa, right? Like he'll do the same thing. I'm like, well, fuck. We're just gonna sit here and just play
leg fucking.
We're gonna, or not even that. We'll be doing what is it, patty cake with our feet.
Yeah.
If he and I grapple each other, so I'm like, all right, I guess I have to pass then. And so like, then that's my opportunity to work passing, right? But I guess a lot of people just don't sit back. But what a lot of people will do is do combat base and not do anything.
So I've started doing combat base. So Paul's told me,
and I'll just shove them backwards.
Paul's told me like nobody should be on their knees pushing and shoving. Like if you're on your knees attempting to wrestle from your knees, just stand up.
Yeah.
Or someone just pull guard.
Right. Like make it
let's
happen.
create a dynamic instead of just this, because no one would be on their knees doing. So I kind of follow that standard, and usually people won't fight the guard pull. A lot of times they might fight or be resistant to you trying to pass. They won't fall. So I'm very quick to defer and be like, oh, you want to stand? All right, I'll play guard.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for all my career.
Oh, that's
so
what. Like because it's the easy thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit there and waste time. like how many videos at this point, and like where we watch, and I'm not calling you out, guys, but like Collie and Brian at 6 a.m. and they're literally just on their knees, their foreheads
Godzilla and King Kong, dude.
and it's like, dong, ah. Yeah, the new movie.
It's coming out.
And they're literally, it's because one guy just won't concede. I'm like, I get it. Like it's like that boring ass match watching in Metamorphosis 1, where it's like Shanji and Comfredo.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh really? It's terrible. Like because it's two dudes who like they're old school jiu-jitsu guys, so like they don't want to like give in by pulling guard. So it's a lot of like
combat based pushing and shoving.
No, they're standing, right? So it's like just kicking at each other's shins and stuff, and like trying throws, like half judo throws and stuff. And they're not. Neither of them are successful because I mean they're probably both very good at judo, but they're not good enough where they can commit hard to something and make it happen with a takedown. So it's fucking 20 minutes of two dudes just yanking on each other's gis standing, right? So at some point, like you said, like something's just got to happen. So just go. Like, all right, like you know what? I understand you want to be in your back. Just work on your back. You know. So
what I have started doing with Mike, because Mike will never
I don't
pull
want him
guard.
on top.
But I'm sick of I'm not sick of. I'm like, when I go to guard, I he doesn't let me establish a guard. He just grab grips and start passing because he's an aggressive passer from his knees.
He's a very good, yeah.
Yeah, so I will go knee.
And he'll stand.
So, yeah, he'll stand. So I will get in that. He'll be on his knees and I'll be in combat base. And I'll push a little bit. But honestly, what I'm looking for is a clean guard pull. So
it's an overcommitment from him.
So I grab like his collar, I try to off balance, and then I slide. Because if I just do a casual slide in, I tried to casually go to close guard with him, and he just flared his elbows out and wouldn't let me get my legs around him. Then he double undered the shit out of me, and I'm like, well, that's
and then and he flips you upside down, and he takes your back.
Yeah, and I'm playing that game, trying to desperately get to deep half to try and get out. So yeah. That
yeah, we've all been there.
So that's kind of I think when you say do I have these realizations or these moments and stuff, if I have a few moments a day, that's good because it means the stuff I'm working on, I'm getting into a new area that is important.
A Windows 98 t-shirt, by the way.
So we've got this K1 kickboxing on in the background.
I've got to get inspired. So
you got to get inspired for Muay Thai class.
Yeah.
And this is from '95.
I don't know. That's definitely a Windows 90 something logo, right? Maybe it's Vista or XP. I bet
Windows XP would make more sense.
Yeah, because it's around 2000.
Windows 95. This is not from 1995.
No. 95. It would be like
and
the logo would be like super pixely, right? Like, sorry.
No, you're good.
Go Andy Sour.
So yeah, I'm kind of I've got things I'm trying to work on, and if a scenario occurs that I haven't quite figured out how to address, that's good because it makes me more complete. So that those are good things. But that's kind of what's going through kind of my head in terms of what I'm trying to do, and generally a lot of it, especially with the people I grapple with regularly, there's a lot of, this is how the grappling goes. These are the things I can work with each of these people.
Yeah. Because you understand.
Because I know this is how it's going to go.
Their tendencies.
And now this is a good chance. So if I'm going with Nick Benicasa, this is a great opportunity to work against a guy who plays spider guard and is rangy.
Yeah.
Most guys don't play spider guard.
And he moves a lot.
He moves a lot. I literally, he literally, I will use it, framed on my forehead with his foot, and I was like, okay, that's interesting.
he's got
good hip dexterity,
incredibly.
Like he can retract his knee.
Yeah, like it's been a while since I grappled, and I'm like, God, is this how people feel grappling me? Like just like his.
You don't move as much as he does.
No. He's like, I almost want to who was that? Cowboy Cerrone fought like Wagner Rocha. And this cowboy was just standing over him, like wanting to kick at his legs.
Exactly.
He's like, I want to do that to him. I'm like, God damn.
Just like kick.
I just want to like kick at him because like, God damn, dude, like, just let me get a grip so I can work my passing with you. Like, Jesus Christ. I was like, I almost want to like resort to just like clubbing him, like over the head. Like, Jesus. But how was that class on Saturday? That was
the class you ran.
Yeah.
I mean, you said you wanted us to puke and nobody puked.
I know. I failed. Yeah.
So yeah.
Y'all were like
mission failure.
Yeah.
I think you tired yourself out.
I was so tired.
Everyone else was just kind of looking around, and you were just like, "All right, guys."
You know what? I said it was a 1 minute rest. Let's just make this one 2. I was so exhausted. Like, and I'm coming off my fast too, so it's like,
here it comes the excuses.
It's I felt so bad.
Did we even go?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did go.
Just one round.
How did that? I don't even remember how that round went.
You said I've never had somebody do that to me before, because like you're trying to knee cut one way, and what a lot of times people will do is they'll get my hips facing to my right, and they'll immediately change directions to my left and try to like either long step around. I don't know what you were doing, but I reached up and I overwrapped your left leg at the knee with my right arm to prevent you from. Basically, if you moved, you were gonna pull me along with you. And you said I've never had anybody do that to me before. Not that was some sort of amazing technique. It was literally just, I don't want him to go that way.
Yeah,
and so. But it was a passing scenario.
I think I do remember I got over-under position with you at some point towards the end.
Yes, I think at the very end.
And I was just kind of burrowing.
And then I think I ended up in deep half. I don't know.
You got deep half on me, or I got deep half on you?
I think I ended up deep half on you.
You deep halved me?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of knee shield. That's all I remember. So, and my left leg doing this a lot. So.
Yeah, a lot of leg pummeling. It's your left leg. That left leg is always swinging. I did do a little butterfly half today, and I felt better with it. I'm leery about the angle and putting pressure on the outside of my knee, but the angle felt better this time.
I'll never let it get this way. It's almost always vertical or out.
No, it has to be out. Like, it has to be along their,
otherwise you
their
get smashed,
lat.
right?
Yeah, no. But even when it's like that, what I'm talking about is I've got my knees are not in alignment. One's perpendicular to the other.
Yeah.
And if someone presses my foot forward, now my knee, like, that's what I don't like.
Yeah, and like does that bother? Like, you had my foot at my head.
Yeah,
and I was fine. So
yeah, well, that worries me from a biomechanical.
Oh yeah, I mean,
if I try to push, that's putting a lot of pressure on the outside of my knee, and so I definitely like.
But that's the thing is, right? Like, you don't do this; you extend forward.
I love how you keep saying this, and the listeners are like,
yeah,
what?
they're like, what do you? So
I can see what he's doing, folks, but he's just like,
it's just sort of like how Lachlan talks about like how Gordon could have avoided his knee surgeries is because he's pushing against it this way, but I'm not trying to do like a, I guess, external rotation with my thigh. I'm actually trying to extend forward. So I
think that's what I realize is what I realize is I'm just putting my leg there. I'm not putting any force into it.
Yeah,
I'm just letting it. I'm just letting people lean into it, and I'm just letting my body absorb it. But I'm not trying to push.
Yeah,
and if anything, like you said, I'm driving in the direction that my knee is pointed. I'm not driving like I'm either pushing.
Because I'm thinking about doing that. Right?
Exactly, like I'm doing a leg press in the direction that my knee, I'm the line between my knee and my toe. I'm driving along that line.
Yeah, and that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's not good, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyways, yeah. So people are just like this. There's no video, so they don't. Anyways.
Yeah, everyone's like, "Wow."
But butterfly half is.
They all tuned out now.
Yeah.
So I did that a few times, but yeah, overall that's
Is that people trying to over under you by any chance?
No, it's just guys in half guard, just messing with the knee shield and moving back enough that I felt like I could do that. And I was thinking I could do like get to Ashi, like pull them over into Ashi and get to get into the legs.
Okay.
Get under them. So that's all. So went from butterfly half to single leg X.
Okay.
That transition. So yeah, man, that's That's kind of a thing. What about you? Like, I know for you, your training is more comprised of teaching.
Yeah.
But think back to when you were the idyllic times.
Yeah.
Two-stripe, what was it? Two-stripe purple?
Two or three stripe purple.
Two or three. Middle of the journey.
Yeah.
Purple. What were you thinking about with your roles? What was going through your head? What were you thinking about how roles went and how you could have done better? Were you thinking about
I don't think I was
eating pizza that night? Like, what was going through your?
I'm very like at. So I think a big thing that I think about when I'm grappling is the fact that, and I think it's what slows me down a lot, is I have a preset idea of how this role is going to go. I'll use Hector for an example, right? In general, it'll be a guard pull into some sort of. With him, I like to have a closed guard, just because he's got good strong grips and stuff, and he's very explosive. So he's able to explode past open guard very easily with me. And I'm just not quick enough to be able to get around that. So, like, I have this sort of preset thing of, like, how I'm going to deal with this person and their tendencies. And what I can remember from my previous role with them. And is it going to happen again? Is it happening right now? And what can I do differently?
Okay.
So that's... But the thing I'm trying to do is... I had just read an article about it today, actually written by the owners of Inverted Gear, the Panda company, about, like, how can I pull the trigger better.
And what?
And just everything.
Okay. I feel like they'd be talking about in life. How do you pull the trigger on creating a business?
No, just in jiu-jitsu and how to avoid overthinking.
Okay.
And that's something I've suffered from a long time. Like, I still do it.
You gotta read Bruce Lee, man. Bruce Lee is all about this, man.
I know. On one hand, you can be a mechanical man, or on the other hand, you can, I've heard the damn interview. I've read the Tao. I know. That's the.
I mean,
feeling
so what's interesting is we talk about we joke about Zach, and we call him Coach Zach.
Yeah.
Because the joke is Zach will maul anybody, but he'll struggle to explain how he mauls you. And he'll be the first to admit that.
Yeah, he definitely.
This is not where he's like, I'm a good coach. And we're like, no, you're not.
No.
He actively avoids coaching, and he admits, like, no, I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I've asked him, like, hey, man, were you here last night? I wasn't. Can you just show us what Paul did last night? And it's, and he gets, it's like, it's a brain block. Like, he can do it, right? Like,
clearly he has the comprehension. He just, he's not so good about,
like,
being able
to
like, which is why call him Coach Zach, and you'll get a chuckle out of him every time.
And he will maul the shit out of you.
Oh yeah, then he'll just maul. So what I noticed is, when I was going, I'll just use that example with Paul. He goes for these headlocks, and he says, "You're getting good at defending the headlock, the front headlock. The chin strap. You're getting good at defending and fighting the hands." And I couldn't connect my hands because you're doing. I can't tell you what I'm doing. That's just from doing reps with him. So there are things like half guard, the things I do in half guard, deep half, that I'm successful. Those are things that I learned and I can explain to you because I studied them with Paul. I studied them by looking at instructionals, and I took techniques and I learned them and I started to apply them, and I went back and forth. Defending the chin strap is purely instinctual from being in that position and getting fucked so many times. Excuse my
haven't
getting
you
choked that I'm just.
But if you were to, let's say that's happened, you watch 20 rolls of that happening, I guarantee you by video 18 or 19, you would have figured out, you would be able to discern from video 1 or 2 what you're doing better, and you'll be able to say, like, hey, look, I'm doing this now instead of this.
Yeah, but that's actually a leap to be like, let me videotape myself through this progression of getting better at something that I don't know how I'm getting better at.
Yeah.
So I think it's a cool indicator that I've learned, like, the book way, like study, test, get better.
And it works.
And it works.
Have you gone further faster that way, perhaps?
I don't. Okay, that's a separate. I'll come back to that. That's a separate question.
Because Brian's like, hey, there are these things you might want to check out.
Yeah.
And you were like, no. And you and I have argued about that before too.
So, the thing that's interesting is I did it the book way, but then I've also, and Paul's talked about this. How do you get good at not getting choked in back mount? You get choked a lot in back mount, and your body develops. And even if that might not be the taught technique, it's something that works for you consistently because you've literally tried random combination of movements. This is actually an example. Let's go full computer science. It's an example of reinforcement learning. So in artificial intelligence, there are questions about how do we train an artificial intelligence system. Okay? And this is actually what's called a subdiscipline of artificial intelligence called machine learning. So if you've ever wondered why when you take a mugshot, all mugshots look the same, doesn't matter what police station you're in, it's because...
Okay. That's an interesting example, but go on.
It's because the way they set up the photo database, they said, in order for all the photos to be the exact same distance and stuff, so an algorithm and because this at the time, the algorithms for identifying faces and stuff were not as good, we want to make sure the distance to take the photo, the lighting is always the same in all police stations. So there's a standard for that. So that way, when you go into a database and you're trying to find a photo that matches,
like heads
it kind of lines up nicer.
Instead of like
now, machine learning algorithms have figured out to identify faces. If you look at the deep fakes, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up deep fake. And look up in a movie.
I didn't realize it's just a program.
Oh yeah,
that you can just buy.
It's super. I mean, students can do it. All you need to do is find enough images of a person, and then you draw and you put them. Anyway, the point is
that's crazy. But
so if you're, I know might not be doing the best job describing this. However, what I'm trying to say is, how do you learn? Okay, in the computer science field with this topic of machine learning. If we wanted to say, how do I teach an algorithm? How do I teach an AI, I guess, to see if this is a picture of a dog or not? I give it a whole bunch of pictures of dogs and say, these are dogs.
Right.
And I give it a whole bunch of pictures that aren't dogs and say, these are not dogs.
So,
and then it tries to figure out what that is. Now, there's a lot going on under the hood of how it does it.
So it's like looking at common denominators.
Yeah, it finds common features and stuff. And then what you do, you give that's called the training set. You've given it information and you've labeled it for it. Then you start giving them pictures that aren't labeled, and you say, "Is this a dog or not?"
Okay.
And then if the algorithm is the machine learning is good at identifying dogs or not, when you give it a picture of a dog, it'll say this is a dog. If you give it a picture of a car, it'll say this is not a dog.
Right.
Okay. Now, there's another way of training, which is called reinforcement learning. And that's what I think people like it now because they think it mimics how humans learn in a way. Mm-hmm. Reinforcement learning is you let the computer do whatever the fuck it wants. You only give it feedback as to how good or how bad that action was. And then over time, it learns to do the right action instead of the wrong action. Mm. Okay. Now, reinforcement learning for identifying
But you're learning the what and the how, not the why.
So, classifying like images, you probably would not use reinforcement learning. Right. A better thing for reinforcement learning would be, I want to play the game of Pac-Man. I actually did this in college. Okay. So what you do is you have the guy play Pac-Man. So this is how he plays Pac-Man. The algorithm can hit left, up, down, left, right. And it does it randomly. And each time it does it, you look at the state and you say, is this good or bad?
Okay.
So it will learn.
Wait, so you're saying the Pac-Man's doing its thing. The ghosts are coming around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, it knows where walls are.
Okay.
So you can't you can't go up into a wall or down into a wall. If you're just in a hallway that's going left or right, you can go left or right. And it knows where the ghosts are. But it doesn't know that ghosts are bad and they should be avoided and how they should be avoided. You relate that to them by giving them feedback after everything they do. So when it does it, You write a program that evaluates its performance. So it moves something, and you say it's okay. If it hits the
little fruit or whatever it is.
If it hits a fruit, you might give it more, and if it's a ghost, you say no, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So then what happens? You watch at the beginning, and it literally just goes randomly all over the place.
Yeah.
You watch it after tens of thousands of runs where it's gotten feedback. It now runs through that maze perfectly and avoids. Once it gets close to these guys, it moves away from them. And that's a form of reinforcement learning. You give feedback to the action that appears that's essentially random at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think my headlock defense is an example of reinforcement learning. My reinforcement was whether I got choked or not.
Yeah.
Right? And I just started flailing my arms a little bit, and now there's kind of a rhyme or reason to it.
I mean, like, you don't have a child, but have you had pets? I mean, you've had farm animals, right?
No, but I no.
Really?
No.
Haven't you?
No domesticated. I grew up with 0 domesticated animals.
So you lived on purely like an orchard.
Yes.
Yeah. So not a farm.
So a lot of wild animals.
Yes.
But none we had to feed.
Okay,
Except the birds. We'd feed the birds.
But that's the amazing thing that I've found now having a child, and is that's that, right? Like, because a child just, they have no any perception of what parameters are for anything in the world, and they just do, right? So
and they receive feedback,
exactly,
whether it's from you or whether it's from the environment,
or just like he touched a fucking stove at one point, right? And that was terrible.
The classic.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hot. I shouldn't do that again.
Goddamn, man. You know, it's a story about that. One thing that I've made a conscious effort to do, and
wait until he sticks his finger in the electrical socket.
I mean, who can actually put your finger into?
Well, that's okay.
Socket?
He'll take the screwdriver, like we all see. Screwdriver.
Oh, God. Or that'd be so bad. So I've been making a conscious effort because, like, Stacy's parents were not terrible. I'm just saying, like, they've ingrained a lot of fear into her over things that I feel as though I was cooking by the time I was 6 because, like, latchkey kids.
Sure.
So
we all saw that viral video of the little kid in Southeast Asia.
Oh yeah, like doing
cooking. Yeah,
cooking
the wok
for his
even littler brother.
Yeah,
with 2 eggs.
Yeah, like a live flame.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Like, Connor shouldn't grow up with the fear of, like, cooking. And so I'm like, I get my little step stool and I'm like, hey man, stand on there. And I like, hey, you see that? That's red. That means it's hot. Do not touch that. I'm like, it's literally cooking food and changing the chemical makeup of food. Don't touch that.
Like he gets the chemical makeup.
like that means it's hot. It's gonna hurt.
Okay. And
he's like, okay, Dad. And sure enough, I'm like, I turn around just
he's
to
like, ooh, red.
And dude, like every television show I've seen, I turn back around. He's like tearing up. He's like holding his finger close to him. I'm like, did you touch the stove? Like, no, where's Mama? I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you touched the fucking stove.
He's capable of lying.
Yeah, dude.
When did he learn to lie?
Dude, that little fucking kid. I swear. I don't know.
Do you lie a lot in your household, Chris?
No. I remember I wanted to do this. I mean, like, Santa Claus is not fucking real. Like, I want.
Whoa! You did not hear. We have to bleep that out.
Oh, okay. Like, I wanted to not do any of that with him. Like, so like now we send.
Well, you're Asian. Santa Claus doesn't come to Asian people.
Like
he comes to white America.
Not when your entire.
Well, I think we should bleep this whole.
Just let it ride. Oh, not when your entire, like, maternal side of your family has gone to, like, seminary and are priests and stuff, except for your grandfather.
This is you.
Oh yeah, like, dude, my mom's side of the family, like, all of her dad's, like, brothers and sisters, except for, like, out of, like, fucking 11 of them.
Wait a minute, Vietnamese people had seminary and stuff?
I mean, they were Catholic, dude. They were occupied by the French for a century.
Whoa.
French, like, Roman Catholic,
Whoa.
So, like, yeah, I grew up in a Catholic household. I'm an atheist now.
Whoa.
So
dang, bro.
Yeah,
I did not know that actually about the history of Vietnam.
Yeah,
that they.
That's why you have, like, the famous, like, banh mi sandwich, right? Like, it's on a French baguette.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of
How
things.
How about that?
Like, there's
nugget.
bun sao it's a crepe that's been modified based upon what ingredients are available in Vietnam, right?
Okay, and what was it? Okay, so I'm just kind of curious. What was the religion prior to being
Buddhist probably, because my dad is Buddhist, but my mom was Catholic. So I was raised in a Catholic household until, as Carlin says, I reached the age of reason, and and I, but
good old George Carlin.
But like Stacy's big on like the Santa thing, and I'm like, I'm not raising my child to believe in mythological things that they're real, right? and just like, and we send him to a Catholic, or not a Catholic, a Christian daycare.
Okay.
And so like the other day he comes on Monday, he's like 3.5, and he's like, I got to be the prayer leader today, and we got to thank Jesus. And I was like, oh, did you now?
Oh, God. All right.
We've gone off the rails.
Brews, we are going to talk about religion now. So if this is going to turn you off, just turn it. So I would consider myself.
I can use the thing.
I'm not atheist.
Agnostic's fine.
And I'm not agnostic even. I consider myself not religious, but I consider myself spiritual to some
degree. But we can all definitely worship Helio.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Like I can see him, right? Like
master. No, so I think okay. So here's my thing.
Hicks my Barbara.
All we need to learn is what we see in internet forums, bro. That's Uber like, Ream.
That's
a motivated
school.
BJ Penn.
Yeah, like,
TRT Vitor.
Yeah, but the old Vitor or new Vitor is that's the.
So, I think. What is it? An uninjured Cain Velasquez? Or what was that? What was that? Who was the one with that look in their eye? Somebody with that look in their.
What is that?
It was just somebody. Fuck. It was like some guy with that look in his eyes. Like he has that look. Like he's got the killer look or something. Maybe that was a former BJJ fan. All right, I'm just going to say this about religion. Doesn't religion serve the purpose of providing an education in ethics and morality?
Ooh,
to
does it?
I mean, aren't there a lot of good metaphors in all like religious texts that can be applied as a way to teach human beings, young humans, how to behave in a one
yes.
I mean, love thy neighbor. How could that? You know what I mean? Like again, I'm being devil's advocate in a way to some degree here, but I do think that I have a friend of mine who I thought was pretty agnostic. Or
yeah, but I mean, I can also, and I do, teach Connor ethics by reading him superhero stories.
Well, okay, so that's funny because I actually think
superheroes are modern mythology too.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think there's a like it's funny.
Did you just watch Unbreakable also?
No, I didn't just watch it, but but I do think that it is kind of.
This is $1.
Like
brand name, dude.
So
no, it doesn't.
Chris and Victor. Victor just showed up, and Chris is saying that his energy drink is only $1. Therefore, it's better. His Rockstar, not sponsored by. So I think not. Like if you think about like, man, like religious epics. Or even the epics of like the Odyssey. Well, the Odyssey is not religious. So
it is if you were from ancient Greece. I guess
something.
Right,
but
like they believed in those gods.
And superhero stories currently are modern day myths, and they do transmit the same.
I have that book too. I read it and I did a report on it.
Which one?
How the modern day mythology.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I did that report. Do you want to borrow that book?
There you go. So I think See, I really don't want to get too deep into this.
No,
I think, but I'll just say this, and I think that, and this I'll bring it back to jiu-jitsu. I think what's awesome about the jiu-jitsu mats is we have people from all walks of life, all political beliefs, all religious beliefs, and we have the common ground of we have this strange fascination with jiu-jitsu.
We're all weird.
And that other stuff,
John Wayne Farr, by the way,
that other stuff. Doesn't come into play on the mats.
It shouldn't.
Whereas if I didn't know that person and I met them in another context, I may or may not get along with that person. But on the mats,
you're just trying to fucking kill each other.
And I think there's a real lesson to be said there when it comes to now we're gonna solve the world's problem. If we all did jiu-jitsu and we all just had a shared love for something, there wouldn't be as much hate and animosity towards one another.
You saw that TED Talk too?
I know I didn't see the TED Talk.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure there's a TED Talk. On it. Anyway, so let's make 2021.
It had like Misha Tate on it. Like,
oh, really?
yeah. That's
Okay.
how jiu-jitsu can solve the world's problems.
Okay, well there you go. Anyway, let's put a
he's a
Windows
I think
XP is the logo, by the way.
okay, so it's like early 2000s.
Yeah,
because it went XP then like Vista, right? Like 4 years later or something.
a little longer than that.
Wasn't
XP's been around for no XP's after
XP's the best too.
XP came in after Vista.
Oh, because Vista was like the millennial edition.
Yeah,
right?
it was 95, Windows 95, Windows 98, then Vista,
and then XP.
then XP.
XP was the best.
Yeah, XP, and then that was followed by Windows 7, and then after Windows 7,
Actually, Windows 7 was pretty good too.
Windows 7 I think was the best.
Yeah, skipped over 8
and
went straight
and
to
then
10,
went
right?
to 10, which is
It's like Windows shouldn't be a tablet
Anyway.
thing. Like it doesn't.
So
My brain.
you know
doesn't
the
wrap-
story behind that?
No.
Okay, so I had a friend who worked in Microsoft when they
Oh, really?
made the decision to do with that whole tile thing.
It's dude.
So here's what happened: a guy came in and did a PowerPoint that had animations with tiles. And I think it was to Steve Ballmer, and Steve Ballmer liked it. And they just, but it just looked. It was a cool PowerPoint,
dude. It's really
and
hard.
all
to
the
use.
designers were like, all the engineers were like, but you haven't fleshed out an actual specification. You've just shown tiles. And then the edict became tiles everywhere.
It's like
everywhere.
It's the most. I mean, like maybe my brain is so wired for like
Maybe we're gonna get sued now.
from like Windows 3.1. And then like 95 to 98, and like 98 was awesome, and I really liked XP, but that like I've tried to use on like the updated laptops on our at work. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like I'm using an Android tablet.
I think that's why people are on their phones more, man. We just
Like I can use an Android tablet, no problem, and figure out things. I can use an old PC, no problem. You put Windows 10 in front of me, I'm like, what is going on
So
here?
have you heard of this new app that's only on the iPhone right now called Clubhouse? Apparently it's blowing up. All right, so
I'm
maybe we'll be
anti-Apple
kinda
anyway,
cool.
but
So Clubhouse
what does that have to do with
is
jiu-jitsu?
an app. Oh, it doesn't.
Okay,
I mean, we're technically on the maps. We talk about anything.
that's
dude.
true.
But actually, we can bring it to jiu-jitsu could be involved. Clubhouse is an app where people. It's a social media app.
Is
Where
that what's causing the static? Me playing with the cord?
Probably.
Sorry,
you fidgety person.
not enough caffeine.
And you basically create rooms where you just have voice chats and people can join, and so it's just it's a
So it's
social
an-
media app for making group calls essentially.
So hang on.
And people, but what happens is they're around topics. So there could be a jiu-jitsu one, and all of a sudden you're in a chat with Joe Rogan because there's celebrities, a lot of celebrities involved.
So this is like Reddit, but it's a message board essentially, where everybody has a voice and you're actually talking
Yes.
to people.
So like somebody hosts a call, and other people join in.
Is
and-
this a huge paradigm shift in social media now with COVID? Because Zoom obviously started
maybe
it.
We'll see. We'll see how long. Apparently, they're blowing up because right now it's invite only, which everyone's like, "Oh, give me an invite, give me an invite."
Okay.
And they're trying to keep up because I think a lot of people are signing up. And right now, I've been exposed to it because I see, like entrepreneur groups. Like let's
A lot of entrepreneurs.
a lot of entrepreneur groups. It's just like all right. Anyway, Clubhouse. If you
We're not
if
sponsored
you know
by them,
that, no,
so
if
stop
you know,
saying the
now
name.
you know.
Like,
Yeah.
but so that's interesting because like I hear that and I hear like that's Twitter, right? Kind of, but not really. But like I still just like the old man in me comes out. I'm like, I don't get Twitter. 26 after. I don't get Twitter. Like, why would I want to be on Twitter other than to hear from people? Like, I don't really have a voice on Twitter because who wants to hear me? To me, it's like the idea of like, I'm at Disney World and I'm just standing there. I have something to say and I just scream at the crowd. And hopefully some people hear it. Some people will. And hopefully they respond. Like, that's what Twitter seems like
Zach
to me.
And Brian McKenzie and I were talking about this on the Mass on Thursday after training, drinking some beers. So a classic topic, which is
Some or like
a few.
I mean,
Well,
Brian
didn't have beers. He had his.
This is like a little White
his
Claw
White
thing.
Claws, yeah.
Terrible things.
So is this whole thing of, as a society, having a crazy person go into the town square and shout is going to have a reach of whoever's in earshot.
Yeah. It's like the free speech green at UCF, right? Like it's just whoever happens to be walking by.
But when you're on Twitter and you're doing the same thing, you have the ability to reach millions of people.
Yeah.
And I don't think I think there's an argument to be made that we don't know how to handle that yet. We haven't quite figured out where that should be placed.
What we should just do is ignore them. Right? But the problem is
some of the craziest people are the ones that get the most follows.
Yeah. Yes. But we as individuals should have the self-control to not retweet them and to ignore them.
There you go. You said the thing that doesn't exist in the real world either. When someone screams, how common is it for someone to be like within earshot and be like, oh, I want to scream the same thing. And then a person like 50 feet away screams it again. But even then, the propensity to, in that ludicrous scenario of change, like, oh yeah, I want to scream it down here, and the propensity for this to spread is so much less. Than if
instead of RT.
Yeah, RT, and the ability to reach all these people.
Yeah.
Without any context, because when you hear a person scream something in the town square, you're going to give them as much attention as you would someone screaming in the town square. Whereas someone tweeting, you don't know if that person took all their time to write something poignant or if they're taking a crap and just being like, F the world.
Kofi V.
You know? So, so I think we're still kind of coming to grips. I see people, it's like people getting their accounts banned on Twitter. Is that infringement on free speech?
No.
And then you have our counter arguments that you signed up for a service. The terms of service clearly state that these guys have the right to pull you.
It's a private business.
Exactly. So there's that. But then people say, except Twitter is so ubiquitous now, it's kind of transcended that. So that's kind of the argument on both sides.
I get it.
And I don't want to get into the debate because I'm on the side of you put your name on the dotted line. When you sign a contract,
I agree.
And a contract, that's my thing. But I think the more abstract topic that is still worth looking at is technology and social media, in the case of Twitter, has gotten us to the point where things can be disseminated so quickly, and I don't think we're as a society ready to handle that or know how to process that.
I think, and
because we can't weight in our mind, we don't know how to weight it in terms of importance.
And also, like, we don't, like, I was listening to a comic book podcast about the role of the reporter that has changed considerably over the past even 10 years, right? Whereas in our childhoods, like, we watched the news, and it was, channel 2, 6, and 9 around here, and
257 where I grew up.
ABC, NBC, and CBS, right?
And then PBS.
Oh, and PBS. Yeah, and I was a little too young for that, so I didn't discover public television.
McNeil Lehrer, the News Hour. That's when McNeil and Lehrer were there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was a little bit before my time. I was a late bloomer when it came to NPR. And
NPR
PBS.
is not PBS.
I know they're ubiquitous here to me because they're the same station. But whereas,
hang on, I just watched the Transporter. They showed a clip of the Transporter.
That would have been like
the fight scene with the fire hose, with the unused fire hose.
Oh yeah.
That's actually a pretty good fight scene.
Well, I mean, like, Hong Kong action is good, isn't it?
All right.
So it just happened to be Jason.
That's what happens when you have a TV on.
But back then, like, news was this trusted thing, and the reporter's job was to report facts, right? Not opinions. And now it's suddenly become just this cacophony of, like, everybody's got an opinion, and because of the 24-hour news cycle and things like Twitter, we're getting things as they happen without without the proper filter, though, of actual fact finding. Right? Like, it's just this one person's perspective of what's happening at that moment, and
the onus is on us
to figure out what's
actually happening.
See, and that's a disservice to the consumer, right? Like, we should be afforded facts, not people's.
Well, and now we get into a much larger topic of how is revenue generated.
And that's, I know. And
how do news companies generate? How do they generate revenue? They generate it from impressions, from viewership on television,
and
from
clicks.
views and clicks on the internet, And there is something that we can say. I don't know. I'm sure a psychologist there's a name for this, but we all have a propensity as human beings to stare at a car accident.
Yeah.
And that's...
So from my understanding, that all started in the news cycle, at least. Was it Orson Welles did the War of the Worlds on the radio? Like prior to that, evidently the news was just some Midwestern dude reporting, and today, like there's that sort of... Like when you think of the old,
that's a really good voice. And today,
you know what I'm talking about, though.
And today, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Farmer Bill.
But so Orson Welles did his thing in the 40s, 50s.
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna plead ignorance on this one.
So
I'm familiar with Orson Welles.
With the whole. He performed War of the Worlds. And he did it in a very overly dramatic fashion. It got riled a lot of people up, making them think like the world was being attacked. But it also gave radio news at the time, like, hey, the way this guy presented information drew a huge, not viewership, listenership or whatever the case is, right? Drew a lot of attention. We need to make our news like that. And so that's where the...
recent studies show that there could be a household paint right now in your house that could be killing you quietly more at 11.
So there's the way the news cycle works now. It's so overly sensationalized at the moment, right? Like no facts at all. No filter.
Yeah.
And that's just it's.
I think for anyone that wants to, I think it's hard.
Dude, did you read that guy's name?
I think it's a little harder to see things clearly if you have strong beliefs and things are political in nature. But to take some of the politics out, just look at the Weather Channel.
Oh, my God.
And how they react to a coming tropical storm. They react with what I would call borderline bloodlust.
Yeah.
So it would be it's kind of a masochistic glee of there is something big and bad and it could be coming, and that's always the thing. There's so many coulds, and it could come, and they instead of.
But what drives people to act oftentimes, almost all the time.
Thank God doctors don't act like this. That's the thing.
Yeah, because they base things on facts and evidence, right?
And doctors tell you these are the possibilities, and they're not going to emotionally and energize one of the things versus the other, right? Yeah. And that's what when there's a hurricane out in the Gulf and people are trying to figure out where it's going to land, we're talking about probabilities. We're talking about likelihoods. And what the Weather Channel will always do is fixate on the absolute worst scenario and say this could happen. And they will drive their reporters out there, to the coast. And what do they desperately want? They want to see that reporter out there in the biggest of storms, getting blown around, screaming into the screaming into the microphone, telling everyone it's not safe outside, but we're outside recording, and then we're gonna seek shelter now because it's so bad. And then when they go there and it's calm, they're so disappointed and they immediately try to chase it down somewhere else.
Yeah.
And the point here is instead of they're adding too much emotion to their broadcast.
Yes.
In an effort to continue to have audience because this could happen. Now people are worried. Instead of saying the track right now has the most likely hit being here. These are the estimates. Being very factual. It's very. The problem is, like you said, if you have one person presenting things in a rather bland, matter-of-fact way, and another who's saying this could be the largest on record and damages could be catastrophic of epic proportions. What are people going to listen to? They're going to listen to the theatrical presentation. That's what they're going to be attracted to. But unfortunately, our emotions are getting manipulated in the process. And it causes, you want to talk about irrational reactions, it causes some portion of the population, to some degree, not of their, no fault of their own, in my opinion. Some of the fault is on them, but not all of it, in my opinion, to do irrational things as a result, because it's like the girl who cried wolf. It's like, why, you're worried this will be the time there's going to be worse, so you buy up the entire store of water, and now we have water shortages a week out, and then no storm hits. Anyway, how did we get on this tangent?
I have no idea.
This is what happens when you come to a jiu-jitsu class and you sit on the mat. You talk about stuff like this.
Yeah.
So
the
I will bring it back to and I'll just say this. It's like I said it probably 10 minutes ago. That's the beauty of jiu-jitsu. I'm sure this paradigm exists in other scenarios.
Yeah.
But it's super awesome that, and in a way, I think there is kind of something. There's some symbolism in us taking off our clothes, our work clothes, not literally taking off our clothes all the way.
So your 4 school uniforms is what you're saying.
putting on a gi, because then we're all the same.
Oh, so
except we wear our belts. And then one person, and somebody's cooler than the other. There's that cool group over there. It's got color on their belt.
So
and these white belts are
uniforms is what you're saying.
I don't know, man. I'm happy I get to do jiu-jitsu. I'm happy that I met you. I'm happy I've met everybody that I train with.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
And I'm happy I have this podcast.
I'm very happy with this podcast.
And I'm happy that the people have reached out. So how about that? We've gone completely off the rails. I'm spreading the love everywhere.
We've got we went from Catholicism to atheism to sensationalist news.
I think everyone, what I want to say, though, is I think everyone can relate to what we're talking about.
Yeah,
they might not agree with some of the stuff we're saying.
We're people, right?
Yeah, but I think they can identify. They're like, I know where you're coming from. I understand. I've had that similar experience. I might not react the same way as you've reacted to these experiences, but it's relatable.
So so Hector told you, just circling about way back here.
Yeah.
He was just very surprised at your
I guess strong opinions on stuff. He said I'm very diplomatic.
You're very diplomatic.
And then for me to be like, fuck Gordon Ryan, and stuff, or that I got triggered when rolling. I think he heard that one.
Oh,
like,
really?
The trigger. He's like, he's such a cool guy. You're such a, not cool as in like Michael Jackson cool. Yeah, but like even keeled. Why did I say cool like Michael Jackson?
Cool wow. Like Prince is cool like, who's the YouTube star nowadays that these two 35 plus year
cool
old
like
men.
The Rock or something,
Yeah, which did you see I didn't realize that they had advertised the Jungle Cruise movie a while ago, and it still hasn't come out because of.
There are a lot of movies. I mean, James Bond keeps getting delayed.
Yeah, but I didn't. They I guess they're going to redo the Jungle Cruise ride. So I wonder if they're going to make it at Disney World. Okay, I wonder if they're going to make it all. Universal. If they're going to make it like coincide with the movie to make things a little bit, what is it, cross transmedia. Like they put like Johnny Depp into the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disney World. So I wonder if they're like, I'm going to see like The Rock on the Jungle Cruise ride or something, some animatronic Rock. I'd be kind of interested in that.
I don't think they might just have actors. I remember I wanted the back in the day, they had a Terminator 2 ride.
Yeah, that's gone.
Which was badass.
Because, it did hold up well. Because
it was actually directed by
James Cameron.
Yeah. So that was as close. You would talk about like as close to. If you thought Terminator 2 was awesome, this is more of that content. But it was.
Bro, that was the last time you've been to a theme park?
No, I've been more recently.
Oh, I was like, oh my God.
I've been more recently, but that was when I was a kid.
Okay.
And I went. And it was cool because you're in line. It's Cyberdyne systems everywhere. And
like a true immersion.
Yeah,
into,
but you went in there and you just
movies.
sat. And it was a combination of cinematic, because you're watching a movie.
Practical effects.
With 3D glasses.
Yeah.
And what is it called? Like a 4D theater or something where you get movement and sound.
Yeah, it was
and
was immersive.
Mist comes at you. So when the liquid when the liquid metal guy
that doesn't exist
explodes.
anymore, by the way. It's the Jason Bourne thing now.
Okay.
So,
but in addition to that, there were live actors.
Yeah, and they're like running around.
So there's a guy that looked like Terminator and Sarah Connor, and he was a Terminator guy, and he was dressed up, and it looked kind of like him.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, as best as they can for
Yeah, I mean, then these robots
Orlando
came out
dude, yeah.
because you saw it was like it was a lot like the start of one of the Iron Men, where it's like I'm showing you military military demonstration. Look at our robots, and then the robots go all ape shit.
It's like a trade show sort of like presentation. Yeah, that's
Which, by the way, have you seen the television series Westworld?
No, I've heard that's very good.
I think you'd enjoy it. I mean, the first season is by far the best. The second is okay.
It's got Anthony Hopkins in it, right?
And the third season is I think kind of poo-pooey.
I've heard that's good. There's a show called Humans that I think I've
not seen. I've heard of it.
I've heard the show I'm interested in now. I've heard on another podcast is Raised by Wolves.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that.
You haven't heard of that?
No.
So it's like
I've been trying to intrigued by American Gods, but I haven't seen that either.
That's the Neil Gaiman book, right?
I don't know, man. There's so many shows.
There's a lot of
there's so many shows
too good of television.
Like I haven't started watching WandaVision, although I know
I haven't heard
good.
it. I've heard, but like I haven't. It's just time.
Yeah,
This is just
we got
yeah, exactly.
So.
I'm too busy studying on what I'm going to teach on Thursday.
So anyway, how would you summarize our conversation today as we get ready for
all
class?
over the place?
All over the place. But the main thrust was what's on our minds.
Yeah.
You know, a little real. And then
I still need to watch the damn Connor fight. That's on my mind. We were talking about that at work today. I already know the outcome. I mean,
you need to watch the Michael Chandler fight.
Is that good?
Yes.
Okay, I'll watch
that's
that.
The co-main.
I mean, that's actually what I'm up to now.
Yeah,
catching
the
up
Michael
on
Chandler fight is worth watching.
Really?
Very impressive. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. I mean, I already know the outcomes. I mean, it's
Did you see the backflip afterwards?
No.
Okay, just watch. You watch it. You watch.
Did he sunset flip onto somebody or
just
okay.
You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. Anyway, guys, check us out
and check
online.
out Crown Rash Guards.
Yeah, so let's start with the sponsor, Crown Rash Guards. They sponsored today's episode. They're awesome. They make durable, sleek, ranked rash guards. They're at www.crownrashguards.com. Use our promo code BREWS and get 20% off your next order. So that's an awesome deal. It takes already competitively priced rash guards and makes them an absolute steal. So check them out.
Lots of good feedback from our students here.
Yeah, so check them out. They're on social media as well, Instagram, Facebook, at Crown Rash Guards. And tell Anmar we said hi. Then for us, we're on social media, Instagram, Facebook, BJJ and Brews. You can shoot us an email, bjjandbrews@gmail.com. Give us feedback. We've had people giving us recommendations for matches to watch for our next watch along.
Oh, Ryan Martman, not on. He asked us about that. He did. He gave me a couple recommendations. I'll have to talk about those next time.
He didn't reply. He gave it to you in person.
He gave it
to you in person.
Yeah,
he gave it to you in person.
I mean, he sees me for 10 hours a day, so you know.
And Chihuahua suggested Kron and Marcelo, which is a good choice.
That's a very good choice.
And Stan recommended. Oh gosh, what was it? It was Craig Jones, Wagner Hosha.
Oh, from EBI, right? Yeah. We'll check this out. Maybe we'll do a watch along.
Yeah, we're gonna get.
Ryan's were all like wrestling ones that were like super obscure.
Good. I was thinking he was going to do Josh Barnett, Dean Lister.
I asked him like, why didn't you choose that? But you know, or Josh Barnett's Huron, like the true catch wrestler beating the originator of jiu-jitsu.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you for listening. That was episode 64. And
we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
Always.